Andrew Yang, backstabbed by the Democrats. Bernie accidentally tells the truth. And Blasio ensures that Central Florida will in fact be voting Republican. All of this and more in the Daily Talk. But first, let's talk about what's going on in the markets. First, we have gold, which has been going up consistently within the past week. This is due to even more uncertainty of the future and the anticipation of a rate cut. Now, a rate cut is obviously very bullish for gold because, the more money that's printed through quantitative easing, unless you have to pay back, there's more money in the system, and of course, gold rises. Of course, you have China and Russia stockpiling on gold right now as well, which could also act as another bullish factor for gold. Now, the reason why gold has been going up consistently and didn't explode like what happened in the last Fed meeting is because silver hasn't confirmed the breakout yet. Silver is still around $15 an ounce, but I believe once the Fed cuts rates, this will change, and the Fed will in fact cut rates in July. They basically confirmed it with the last meeting. So this is very bullish for gold. It's very bullish for emerging markets, bullish for silver, all that good stuff. Past week, we have seen natural gas going up slightly. And there are multiple reasons why natural gas has been going up. One is the explosion at the Philadelphia, is it oil reserves or oil refinery? I don't know. There was an explosion in Philadelphia that I think is an oil refinery, right? Maybe oil reserve. I really don't know. But that exploded, and that morning you may have noticed that gas prices rose approximately 30 cents because of that. Not only that, but you also have uncertainty with Iran right now. Right now we have been forcing other countries like China, like Russia, and even countries like UK and Japan to no longer buy oil from Iran. Because we're trying to have a monopoly on oil right now, and Iran is just really big competition on US oil right now. So they've been really forcing a lot of prices and a lot of manipulation on oil right now because of what we're trying to do with Iran. To the point where we may even go to war with Iran, which of course is very bullish for natural gas because, war, tanks, jets, drones, all of them take gas to fly. So very bullish for natural gas. And I believe that's all I want to talk about for the market. So let's jump right into these Democratic debates. And I'm sorry about clearing my throat so much. I just ate like a peanut butter fiber bar, and I was just trying to get the peanut butter down my throat. So sorry if that annoyed you for the first 2 minutes. But I want to talk about the Democratic debates. I watched the last half of the first night, and I watched all of night 2. And night 2, it was an absolute mess. I want to talk about Andrew Yang real quick. And it's a shame because my prediction was right. A lot of people... Okay, for some context, a couple months ago, I had a podcast where I basically said Yang is basically going to end up like Bernie 2016, where basically in 2016, the DNC already chose who's going to be the candidate way beforehand, and they absolutely backstabbed Bernie because of it. And it's a shame that this is what's going to happen to Yang. I talked about it 2 months ago in the last podcast. It's actually one of my most disliked videos on YouTube right now. It's because I did say Yang would end up like Bernie 2016, where basically the DNC is going to backstab him. And this was seen very easily in the debates, because it was a 2-hour-long debate, and Yang only talked for 3 minutes. 3 minutes in a 2-hour-long debate. Not only the moderators didn't ask him any questions, like barely any questions, barely at all. But Yang tried to interject many times so he could put it in his own view. But what happened is that they actually cut off his microphone. That's disgusting. They cut off his microphone. I watched the debates, and I counted 3 times. It could have been more. There was a time when he wanted to respond to what Camilla said, and he tried talking, but his microphone was off. There's another time where he wanted to respond to what Bernie said, not once but twice, but his microphone was cut off. And that is disgusting. He even tried raising his hand, trying to get someone to notice him. But of course, they left Camilla's mic on the whole time, because the reason why is that the DNC already chose their candidate way beforehand, and Yang is not it. And it's a shame, because Yang has the ability to attract not only leftist voters, but also right-winged voters and libertarians, because of his ability to explain things, and his policies actually, make sense. So, sorry, peanut butter. So the DNC, they already chose that their candidate is going to be Camilla Harris. All right, they left her microphone on the whole time, and she just talked the whole time. She obviously came in, and she's obviously the winner, by the way. She came in the most prepared. She was the most fluent in speaking. She knew what she was doing. And basically, you also had people that acted as torpedoes. There's one guy. His name was Eric Swalwell. He's the guy that had the orange tie and the that little orange ribbon on. I believe he was to the far right side of the stage. And he's useless. I have no idea who he is. There's no way he's winning candidacy. He's going to drop out within the first week. He only existed in that debate to torpedo people. And he torpedoed two people, specifically Joe Biden and Andrew Yang. He torpedoed Joe Biden by, I believe he said something about passing down the torch, and that Biden needs to pass down the torch. And, Biden comes up with the most wittiest comeback ever. Biden completely lost that debate, by the way. Oh my God, he lost that debate. He got decimated. The second there are two things that made him lose. The first thing was when he was listing off a really good comeback to Camilla Harris, when he was listing off all the things he'd done civil rights wise. And then he shot himself in the foot the second he said, "Oh, I'm out of time." Oh my God, out of time? Out of time, and he's old too, and he said that he's out of time. Yeah, Joe Biden's not winning. He's not winning, all right? And Eric Swalwell also torpedoed Yang as well, because he said tech creates more jobs than it replaces, which is actually BS. The reason why Silicon Valley is investing so much into technology is so they could stop paying people a ridiculous $15 minimum wage. So of course they're going to come up with more technologies to prevent that. Many people forget that Amazon, Jeff Bezos, is actually a lobbyist for the Democrats. He wants to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. And the reason why Jeff Bezos is a lobbyist for the Democrats and why he wants to do this is so he could easily put his competitors like Walmart out of business, because Walmart's not going to be able to go fast enough in that technological revolution. And basically Amazon, that's how monopolies are created. Monopolies are only created through the government. They're not created through capitalism. I guess you could say they're created through crony capitalism, which is a problem. But that's what Jeff Bezos is doing, if any of you guys didn't know. He's no fool. He knows exactly what he's doing. Very smart guy. Anyway, so the comment by Eric made no sense. Tech creates more jobs than it replaces. How does it create more jobs? How? I know Wells Fargo is spending, I believe, around $20 million on a technology that will replace all of their accountants. It's going to replace basically 80% of what everyone at Wells Fargo does. All right, it's like I believe accountants at Wells Fargo, they use Microsoft Excel a lot. This new program that they're investing so heavily in, and they're not spending $20 million for no reason, okay? This new program, it's going to be autonomous, and it's going to do everything Excel does, but better, faster, and way more efficient, all right? So technology does not create more jobs than it replaces. This was just Eric trying to torpedo the stronger candidates like Yang and like Biden. And then you have Governor Hickenlooper. He, again, irrelevant like Eric. He's not winning candidacy. He's there to torpedo people. And he was there to torpedo Bernie because he said many, many times over and over and over again that socialism does not work. All right, and he said that it's not the answer. Then he brought up how Colorado was able to make so much money but not have it not be socialism and actually have it become more libertarian. So he had two people, Eric and Hickenlooper. They were just there to torpedo the stronger candidates. All right. And it's obviously that the DNC does not like Yang at all. I think conspiracy theory wise, if you want to put on some tinfoil hats, I think NBC or MSNBC, they're obviously trying to polarize the people. And since Yang has such a strong ability to appeal to both sides, MSNBC obviously does not want that. All right. Again, it's absolutely disgusting. I talked about this, how Bernie got backstabbed. It's basically taking away your freedoms to vote for who you want and to be educated on who you want to vote for. On the way they censored Andrew Yang in that debate by keeping his mic cut off whenever he wanted to interject. That's really that's disgusting. That's actually, I'm pretty right-winged, all right, but no one left or right should be censored the way Andrew Yang did in that debate. And I hate it that I'm right. I hate it. I talked about in that one podcast that I hate it that I know this is going to happen, and this is exactly what happened. And a lot of Yang supporters came to that video and disliked that video because they didn't believe me that Yang is actually going to be like Bernie 2016, where he's going to be backstabbed by the DNC. And that's what happened. And I was right. There's a good chance Yang may not win candidacy. And that's really sad. Really sad. No one should be. It's disgusting. Go watch the debates yourself. A 2-hour-long debate, he only got to talk for 3 minutes. And when he tried to interject, his mic was cut off. All right. Anyway, many people probably turned off the debate when one of the moderators asked the question, will your new healthcare policy pay for undocumented immigrants? Everyone raised their hands, all right? And that's another one of the things that probably killed Biden that debate. Because Biden, he looked around to see if everyone else was raising their hand. And Andrew Yang did this too, and they kind of raised their hands after. Because they just fell victim to groupthink. They fell victim to peer pressure. Now, I think Yang wanted to talk about how his healthcare plan would have covered it, because he doesn't have an exact healthcare plan. He actually kind of wants to deregulate it a little, I believe, from what I've seen in his interviews. But I believe he wanted to talk about on how the $1,000 a month that you get would easily go into healthcare if you want it to be. That's your right as an American citizen to do whatever you want with your money. And but of course, Yang doesn't get to talk about that because his mic was cut off. But Joe Biden, my time is up. I can't believe he said that. My time is up, and he's old. He's not winning. But yeah, every Democrat raised their hand, and that's when many people I know just turned off the debate right there when they raised their hand that illegals are going to get free health care, that they won't have to pay taxes or anything. And they're already getting free health care, they get the bill and they just walk out and never pay it. They're already getting it. But the fact that these plans are going to go into that and not being taxpayers, there's something I don't understand. I really don't understand. It's actually, there is going to be increased taxes, and this is where Bernie made the mistake on accidentally telling the truth. Or Bernie was asked a question, will the middle class have to pay more taxes? And he said, yes, but you pay less in healthcare. The middle class is going to be destroyed. They're already being decimated as is, but more taxes on the middle class. The income tax is already decimating the middle class. Social Security tax is already decimating the middle class. Medicare, Medicaid, decimating the middle class. Not even that. If you want to leave exit taxes, inheritance taxes, property taxes, all of that, destroying the middle class. And now there have to be even more taxes, and you pay less in healthcare? What? The reason why healthcare is so jacked up in the beginning is because the government got involved. It's not only because of the endless amounts of regulation they put on the doctors. It is because of Medicare. It is because of Medicaid that prohibits competition within the private medical industry and allows them to raise prices the way they are. Guaranteed healthcare. That's how it works. Same thing why college is so expensive. And not only that, every 10 minutes a doctor spends with the patient, that's another 4 minutes of paperwork they have to fill out. That's how much they are legislated and regulated, And it's things like that that really rev up the price. Not only that, but the government allowing private, what's the word? Private, oh, the pharmacists. There you go. Allowing pharmacologists have their own monopoly on specific drugs. And this is something that the government made specifically, again, prohibiting the competition of the free market. Because if you had private healthcare A and private healthcare 2, or private healthcare B, and private healthcare A produces the same drug at a cheaper price than private healthcare B, well, they can't do that. They allow, the government wants monopolies on specific drugs, which allows, again, the ramping up of prices. And that's not fair. It should be the free market. You should allow the free market to absolutely take over the healthcare industry. Then that way you would actually get the reduced prices, drastically reduced prices, by the way. You need to end regulating the doctors to death. You need to end legislating the doctors to death. It's actually disgusting on how much they're regulated. Like, I actually talked to doctors, and they told me specifically all they want to do is practice. They don't want to fill out all this paperwork. That's why their handwriting sucks so much, because they have to fill out so much paperwork. They don't even try anymore when it comes to filling out all this paperwork. Anyway, all Democrats raising hands on, the taxes are going to go through the roof. It's not going to be just the rich, because these taxes will trickle down to the middle class. They're definitely going to trickle down to the lower class. Many people forget when the income tax first came out, way back then, that the income tax was aimed for the top 1%. Well, guess what? Everyone's paying the income tax now. Everyone. And again, that's what's going to happen. They're trying to lower exit taxes. So basically, everyone's going to eventually have to pay for exit taxes. And if you don't know what an exit tax is, it's completely unconstitutional. But if you want to leave the country, they're basically going to take all the money you made. All right. All the money you rightfully earned, they're going to take away. That's what Nancy Pelosi and Bernie's trying to do right now in Congress. And there's really something evil and authoritarian and totalitarian behind that. That's how you know America is actually going to become a prison. That if you leave it, they're just going to take away everything you have with exit taxes. And that's what they're going to try to do to the rich. And I think the rich is going to leave long beforehand. These exit taxes came out. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. I'm making plans to move out. The market hasn't even begun to figure the political implications that if one of these socialists win, it's going to decimate everything. The market hasn't begun to think about that. And when this recession happens and when it blows up in Trump's face, that's when the market is really going to sink. We're going to see stocks absolutely crumble. The bond market, by the way, we actually have bond investors literally taking negative yields just to seek protection. I think the bond market is actually thinking way ahead. Because, again, in the bond market, if you're doing long-term investment, you have to think on what's going to happen 10 years ahead of time. And I think they already factored in the political implications that if a socialist wins. All right? So that's why they're literally taking negative yields just to seek protection. And you have to ask, what are they seeking protection from? And that could be it. That really could be it. So let's go to the winners of the debates. In my opinion, and I think many people agree with me, Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg won the debates. And I think what the Democrats are going to go for, they chose Harris as the candidate because she's not only female, but she's black as well. And I actually talked about this a while back, that if Oprah Winfrey ran for president, Oprah automatically wins the candidacy because she's black, she's female, she has a humble coming up story. And, same thing for Kamala Harris. So that it's obviously, she's the perfect candidate for the Democrats. All right. And I think what they're trying to go for is Harris for president and Buttigieg for vice president. So a Harris and Buttigieg combination going on, because you're going to get the ultimate diversity, of course, if you do that. So that's something that the Democrats obviously going to go for. And that's probably what they're going for. I just, oh my god, I hate thinking about what they did to Yang though. I hate that I'm right. I hate that I'm right. And I hate that I'm going to be right about a lot more things in the future on what's going to happen in the markets. Yeah. Just feel for Andrew Yang, man. It's disgusting. Let's go on to Blasio. All right, Blasio basically ensured that all of Central Florida is going to vote Republican because he well, he didn't accidentally quote it. He knew he was directly quoting Che Guevara, all right, a communist revolutionary from Cuba in Miami. All right, he quoted him directly in Spanish, and basically the people in Miami, they're all Cuban who specifically escaped Cuba just to get away from the socialist and communist policies that ruined them in the first place. And the fact that he quoted Che Guevara, Blasio's not winning now because of it. He's not going to win candidacy. He never was, but now he's not going to win candidacy. All right, I think he's going to be another one of the people who would drop out the first week of these coming debates or elections, primaries, whatever you call them. I just think that's funny. There's actually many people that live in America that came here to escape a totalitarian government, to escape a socialist government, to escape a communist government, because socialism obviously doesn't work. All right. Restricting people's freedoms is not going to work. So you have people who would come here from Russia, this USSR. They come here from Nazi Germany. They would come here from Cuba, communist Cuba. And of course, you have many people coming here now through the South American border, the southern border, coming from socialist Venezuela. All right. And it's funny because I'm talking to some of these people now, specifically people who escaped from the USSR, and they're really sad to see socialists now being elected in American politics, because they seen it firsthand on what it was like and how scary it is. And, mob mentality, very scary. Being promised free things and people actually falling for it. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And the Democrats are basically bribing people now, with free college, free healthcare, free everything, but there's no such thing as a free lunch. And I talk to these people and they say that they're really scared because they don't know where to go to now if this happens, because they've seen history does repeat itself and they're really scared. They don't know where to go now. America was the last place for freedom, the last place for liberty. Many people forget liberty in America means liberty from the government. And it's very sad that, all these immigrants are being besmirched now. But I can name a few places where they could go. I have a few places in mind. I'm not going to give out my places, of course, because I'm greedy. And who knows, maybe America would come screw them up by inserting a socialist dictator in these countries, or something like that, or try to indoctrinate and become a part of America. But I do know a few places to go to. And if any of you guys are interested to know what these places are, I'd be happy to give you a few of these places privately if you are scared that this is going to happen, which it will. It most likely will. So let's go on to a recently trending hashtag on Twitter. And basically on Twitter, there's a trending hashtag a couple days ago, hashtag Black Not Democrat. And excellent hashtag Black Not Democrat. And basically what's going on is that many blacks in America, they're actually being tired of being consistently victimized by the Democrats. They're tired of it. And they're actually starting to stand up for themselves, and that identity politics is bullshit. It's basically what they're saying. And I'm glad that people are finally starting to realize this, that the Democrats depend on black people being weak for their candidacy. And this is why Democrats consistently push new laws that only weaken blacks, and produce even more taxes that, again, only weakens black families and makes them that much worse. The Democrats depend on blacks being weak because it's a part of their their policies to help Black Americans, But if Black Americans were actually helped, they were beginning to realize on how bullshit the Democratic policies are. So they depend on keeping blacks weak. And I think there's something really disgusting and evil behind that. And it's very obvious because you see it in California, you see it in New York, you see it in Chicago, you see it in Detroit. And it's really disgusting that no one's talking about this. But the Democrats, from what I've seen, are intentionally keeping black families, black people just weak. Keep them in the lower class so they could keep saying that they're going to help them, even though they're obviously not going to help them. They just want the black vote. There's something just really evil about that. Yeah. There's actually one black lady I have been following recently. Her name's Candace Owens. And she's been calling out the Democrats. She's tired of being victimized by the Democrats, And Candace Owens, she's actually pretty smart. I'll be happy to meet her one day. Very smart lady. She provides explanation with everything she says. She provides sources. Really, really smart person. Follow her on Twitter, if I remember. I think I'm putting this podcast up on YouTube, and I think I recently hit 600 subscribers on YouTube, maybe. I think I did, and I will upload a 600 subscriber special on YouTube, a Q&A, where I'll be answering your questions, not in the comment section, but actually in a video dedicated to my YouTube followers. So that's going to be really exciting. So people listening right now, feel free to post a comment asking me any questions. I'll be answering them in a 600 subscriber special. I want to say thank you for following me, by the way. 600 subscribers, it's a good amount. And I really do appreciate that people are listening to what I have to say. And not everyone, agrees with me, and that's okay. But people do agree with me, and I like that. And I also like the people who don't agree with me. I'm really grateful for the people who don't agree with me to post comments on my videos, and then I can respond to them, and I can provide even more explanation of what I've said, or maybe they could persuade me, So I really want to say thank you to everyone who comments on my videos and everyone who just watches my videos in general. It really means a lot. I think I'm going to upload more and more podcasts to my YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for that. I got a special one coming up soon because many of you know that I go to college, and it's not a big college, it's a small college, and I go to it. I recently we're doing these little blog posts, and basically you could talk about something that is social justice wise or something like that. And I recently had a paper. I want to talk about the economy because that's something that I've been invested in ever since the 7th grade. I've been investing since the 7th grade. So that's like what? 7 years? Wait, no, 3, 5, 6 years. 6 years. I've been investing for 6 years now. 6 years now, keeping track of the markets and what's going on and trying to figure out a reason why everything works the way it works. And I really like economics because it's one of few subjects that is literally common sense. If you have common sense, you understand economics. Apparently many people don't have common sense. And but if you have common sense, economics is really easy to learn and to pick up. And I'm writing about economics in these blog posts, all right? And I basically wrote a blog post called The Middle Class Squeeze, and I try to explain inflation and how it works and why inflation destroys middle and lower class, and why inflation is overall bad for the America, and why it's stupid that the Fed wants inflation. Inflation doesn't work for the middle and lower class, and because it's the decreasing of their dollar, their buying potential, and it basically drains their bank accounts without them knowing, and so I'm talking about that. There's a lot when it comes to inflation. There are a lot of things I need to talk about. So I think I'm going to have a podcast just dedicated to talking about inflation, to talk about how we can fix it, why deflation is actually better for the economy. Not just for the top 1%, but for everyone. Deflation works. And how we could get deflation is by fully embracing capitalism, not enabling the government to keep on having this inflation percentage target for some. They have a target for inflation, and it's 2%, which 2% is the floor now. It's no longer the target. They'd be gladly to take more inflation, and the market should be what controls interest rates, not the Fed. And if the market controlled interest rates, I think they would be smart enough to raise interest rates to the point that cause something called a deflationary recession, where prices are actually deflated and not inflated, which will produce a net positive. Of course, it's going to be very hard to go through it. We're going to have one of the biggest recessions of all time if we do it. It's going to be really bad. But as what Peter Schiff said, to make an omelet, you're going to have to break some eggs. And we're going to have to break a lot of eggs to fix the current state of the economy. So I just wanted to say I'm going to have a special blog post dedicated to that. Or not, a special podcast dedicated to that. Not blog post, my bad. Because it is a lot of information. There's a lot to talk about because you're going to have to talk about Trump's policies. You have to explain basically everything that happened in the past 8 years. Explain why that's happening, but also explain why the past 100 years also happened to help explain why it's happening right now with the past 8 years and what's happening right now. Anyway, I think this is a good time to wrap up the podcast. Let me look at my notes I have on this napkin, see if there's anything else I could talk about. Yeah, I think I covered everything I want to talk about. I'm going to talk more about the Democratic debates in another podcast, specifically on day 1 instead of focusing so much on day 2. So yeah, thank you for listening. I think this podcast is going to go up on YouTube. So, because it involves Andrew Yang and one of my predictions being correct. So, please feel free to comment on my YouTube channel, EMIC Productions. That's the name. Yeah. So feel free to comment, like, dislike, I don't care. But thank you for listening.